What just happened? These guys, man. Let's have some fun. We deserve it. Let's have some fun tonight.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Sam Olbert. I'm a lifelong fan, taking my passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making Locked On Cubs your first listen today. And the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, like the video, and leave a comment. This episode of Locked On Cubs is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah, the right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. What do you want me to say, guys? You want me to say I'm shocked? You want me to say I didn't see this coming? You want me to say that if the Cubs win Friday night, you could bet your bottom dollar I'll be doing a watch along on Saturday afternoon for game one of a double dip at Busch Stadium? Is that what you want me to say? Because that's what's going to happen if they win. I don't know where to start. I almost want to start with I don't understand anything about baseball and how these things happen. I knew that this offense would come around at some point. I didn't think it would be this much of an exclamation point. I didn't think it'd be this, 3 consecutive games like this against the Baltimore Orioles. Let's start with the fact that the Chicago Cubs just swept one of the best teams in baseball. Do you know what the combined score of the series was? It was 21-2. Huh? Blowout game 1. Imanaga game 2, really good. Pitches to the conditions. Probably had a couple balls that should have left the yard, but, he pitched to the conditions. Timely hitting. And then on Thursday, led by the Chicago Cubs' best player, their leader, a stud, a star, Justin Steele came out and completely overwhelmed the Baltimore Orioles. They had no chance. They had no chance. They were not close. He could have went the distance if he had to tonight. Huge day for Seiya Suzuki. 3 extra base hits offensively. Still a little bit of an adventure, right field. Michael Busch, another big day. Dansby Swanson, I thought, with his best single swing of the 2004 campaign, a 425-foot bomb to right center field. And it actually blows my mind that Carter Hawkins, about a month ago in the booth when the Cubs were playing the Mets on Saturday, said they actually want Dansby Swanson to pull the ball just in the air. You know what? My eyes tell me he doesn't need to pull the ball at all. Let the ball get deep, focus on center, focus on right center, and the pulled home runs will come naturally because he has the power. I mean, that's where the big boys hit him. No doubt, or the right center field, a really, really encouraging day for him. And, the Cubs got some bad news. I'll talk about that later on before the game. But this is what I envisioned, right? Couple guys go out, next man up. Today was Suzuki's night. Busch has been on fire. Happ's been really good. He had the big hit in the first game of the series. It's supposed to be this baton that gets handed off of guys that are carrying the load. And obviously we didn't see it for 2 consecutive months, but, you saw it this week. And, I know a lot of people are probably wondering, well, Sam, are you back? Are you not? I'm not going to do that. I'm just taking it day by day right now. And I'm enjoying the fact that all of a sudden, you could see the excitement. I can't sit still. This weekend, I now have all my weekend plans have changed for the good because now this series in St. Louis that we're going to talk about, it's going to be the bulk of the show, becomes a really, really important series. Other takeaways from this series was this was the July Cubs of last year. This was the August Cubs of last year. Timely hitting, no breaks throughout the lineup. I mean, even Nito got a base hit today. I think Miles Mastrobuoni has really helped this team and stabilized things defensively at third the last week or so. They've been, they've been really good defensively lately since he's been back. Swanson's picked it up, but you could just talk all day. Everything was kind of perfect. When you outscore one of the best teams in baseball 21-2 in 3 games, there's endless good news to talk about. There's endless positive things to talk about. I guess I'll just highlight a couple of things before I get into the Cardinals series, because that now becomes a really big thing. Michael Busch is turning in a year where I think he needs to really start. People need to start thinking about the Cubs might have the rookie of the year on their team. And I know he had a little bit of luck this series with the ground ball to short that hit off the bag and the fly ball to center today that Mullins didn't see that turned into a double. But, he has really been tremendous for the Cubs. He kind of set the tone for this series. The second at bat of the series hit a long home run to right field. And even on Thursday night, we've talked about it so much. And I actually tweeted it right before the situation. 1-0 Cubs, 5th inning, you got your ace on the mound. If it stays 1-0, maybe even 2-0, it's going to be tight late. You're going to have to go to the bullpen. They've been better lately. But this was your moment to break the game open. Same as game 1 when it was 4-2, when Ian Happ stepped to the dish and hit a 3-run homer and stepped on their throat. Here comes Busch, second and third, 1 out. I think it was a 2-1 count. Got a changeup in the zone. Roped it down the right field line, right field corner. That was it. I felt like with the way Steele was pitching, that was the cushion the Cubs needed. Seiya and Dansby and everyone else added on after that. But those are the hits that this team has really missed all season, and they've got them here in the last week or so. Since July 4th, including that day, the Cubs, I believe, have won 6 out of 7. They have won 4 in a row. That's got to be the first time they won 4 in a row since that day in Boston on that Friday evening. I think they're now going to be within 3 games of the wild card, and they are going to be headed into a very, very, very important series in St. Louis. And make no mistake about it, Jed Hoyer has talked about it publicly since then. You're not making it a bigger deal than it is. He even said last year that they were going game by game, deciding, are they going to sell? Are they going to buy? What are they going to do? And now you're playing a team where you have a 10-19 record against the National League Central. You are, I believe, 1-4 versus the St. Louis Cardinals and directly chasing them. Every win this weekend is also a Cardinals loss. And I think it's going to be a massive series. And we are going to talk about that coming up next. This episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah, with summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rival cities. And let me tell you something, folks. It's not too late. There's a doubleheader on Saturday. You want to use Booking.com and get out to Busch Stadium. Speaking of rival cities, we could use a lot of Cubby Blue this weekend because we might be able to turn things around with 3 W's. You could use Booking.com with hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more. You might just find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival city like St. Louis. From hotels that look over stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this MLB season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com on the site or Booking.com on the app. This episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your car alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one car, you'll find exactly what you want with eBay Motors. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your car alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit. Only available to U.S. customers. All right. The Chicago Cubs play the St. Louis Cardinals on Friday at 7:10, and you could hear every pitch of the Cubs' hometown broadcast on SiriusXM by searching Cubs on the SXM app. We are back here on Locked On Cubs, and the Cubs have set themselves up for a big time series in Busch Stadium. And I know it probably feels like, hey, Sam, kind of glossed over that sweep a little bit. No, I want to give the Cubs full credit, and I will give them full credit for that sweep in Baltimore. But I look at that sweep kind of like a setup, like the setup man. And now here comes the closer this weekend, because this is a gigantic series. The Cubs have an opportunity now to really change things. You want to say to me, hey, Sam, are the Cubs back? Well, not until I see them in St. Louis. And the good news, before I get into the details of this series, the good news is that they've set themselves up where they don't have to win 3 or 4 now, but I really think it would be a really good idea if they possibly could. Of course, they're going to try and win every game. They don't have to win 3 out of 4 because they swept in Baltimore, which is just totally unforeseen. I still can't believe they did that, especially in the convincing way that they did. But if they could get to 3 out of 4 this week, that would put their record at 48-50. They'd only be 2 under at the break, and they're still chasing a lot of teams, but they would probably be within a game and a half of St. Louis at that point. If they went 3-1 this week, which is nothing, and they still have St. Louis coming back to Wrigley. So a very important series for the Cubs. Let's preview it here. The great news about this week is that the Cubs swept. The not so great news is that they swept and they used their 3 best pitchers. So you're not going to see Imanaga or Steele this weekend. For the Cubs, it'll be some combination. We know Hendricks is pitching Friday. My guess, and this is a guess because the Cubs haven't announced this officially Saturday, Sunday. We know it's Hendricks Friday. Wisniewski will probably throw one of the 2 games on Saturday. And I know Counsell last week hinted at the hope that Javier Assad, I think he used the phrase, would be able to contribute some on Saturday or this weekend in St. Louis. So I'm hoping that he's around for Saturday's game and that maybe they do like a little bit of Assad, a little bit of a bullpen game, and then Tyone on Sunday. And then for the Cardinals, it's a combination of Sonny Gray, Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn, and Michaelis. So, they're 4 best arms, quote unquote, but you're playing 4 games, you're going to see those guys. A lot of keys to the series, a lot of things to talk about right now. I want to take this angle with this upcoming series, and I think this might make people's eye roll a little bit. I want to take this angle though. The home plate umpiring will play a big role this weekend in St. Louis, and the reason why is Sonny Gray, Michaelis, and Gibson all feature some sort of pitch to righties that just comes back and most of the time doesn't catch the outside corner. And if the umpires are giving those guys 6 inches off the outside corner, the Cubs will be in trouble. And Kyle Gibson dominated the Cubs that Friday in June where he was getting a really big zone. And I just think this is a series where Craig Counsell needs to really be on his toes in the dugout. And, if early in the game, Busch gets rung up on a comeback front door 2-seamer that's 3 inches off the plate on a 3-2 count, this might be the weekend to get tossed, to let the umpires know we're not going to play that. Because these Cardinal pitchers, they're finesse guys, but they're veterans and they're intelligent and they like to explore advantages. Hendricks is similar. John Lester, of course, was famous for doing this. And it's on the Cubs to make sure that they aren't getting, the bad end of some home plate calls. Otherwise, it's just more of the same. It's more of the same for the Cubs. They just need it. They need to keep this momentum going. We always say momentum's only as good as your next starting pitcher. Kyle Hendricks, it's imperative on Friday that he gives him a good effort. It's obviously not been a good year for Kyle Hendricks, but he's proven in his career that he's able to rise up to big moments. He's going to have to do that on Friday because we're not going to get Justin Steele this weekend. And Justin Steele, every time I say his name, I just want to say it. We're not going to get our star, Justin Steele, this weekend because the the Baltimore Orioles, folks, I know I'm getting on a tangent. They're one of the best teams in baseball against lefties. And they looked like they wouldn't have hit Steele if he pitched 12 innings tonight. So, yeah, I do have the chat up just a little bit as I'm doing this. Somebody said, shout out to Mastro. Yeah, I said that in the first segment. Master Boney has earned the right. He should be in the starting lineup for these baseball games this weekend. I know that Seiya Suzuki has really struggled in right field, but I still like him in right better than Morel at third, if I'm being honest, especially with Kyle Hendricks on the mound, who's a ground ball pitcher. My lineup would be the exact same. I'd have Mastro over at third, Suzuki in right, Happ left. We all know PCA in center. We know the rest of the guys. I think Nito's earned the right to kind of just be the guy here, and then Amaya will fill in for him. And that'll be the weekend show. It's very cool, and the Cubs deserve credit. I did not think we were going to have a series that I'd be this much looking forward to at this point of the year after everything that we had gone through and all the ups and downs. But, this is baseball, man. The only thing we all know about the game of baseball is that we all know nothing. I can't believe it. Dansby Swanson looked like Barry Larkin tonight. Suzuki at 3 extra base hits. They roughed up. And by the way, these weren't bad pitchers. It's not like they caught bad arms for the Orioles, Burns and Suarez has an ERA in the mid-2s. This was wild. So anyways, back to the Cardinals, a really good opportunity. The Cardinals, they are a good team that I think is way better. I think they're worse than their record. I don't think they're that good. They have, they're one of those teams that has a really good record, but their run differential doesn't support it. Their bullpen has been really awesome. That's helped them win a lot of close games. Contreras is back. He's hit for them. Goldschmidt's gotten going a little bit. Arenado's now going a little bit. We said, when we've talked about the Cardinals on this show, they're going to only go as far as Goldschmidt and Arenado take them. Those guys have woken up a little bit. And of course, they're healthy to face the Cubs. They have Nootbaar back and things like that. But momentum's real. And if Hendricks can hang in there, and he always has had success against the St. Louis Cardinals, I think the Cubs are going to hit. I think the bats have woken up, and I'm hoping just stay awake for 4 more games. You find a way to win 3 of these 4, and it could get pretty exciting. And I just can't believe I'm saying this. I can't believe that this happened. I thought the Cubs might play well this week because they had some momentum. I did not think that they would sweep the Baltimore Orioles. Before I get into the injuries, I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting any shouts out to anybody. I know Morel hit a homer on Wednesday night. He's one of those guys you just love. If he could just have one of his weekends where he hits 4 homers in 4 games or something, that would really cancel out the loss of Bellinger and such. The only bit of bad news today for the Cubs was injuries. We got news on Bellinger. We got news on Wicks. We got news on Ben Brown, and we're going to talk about all those coming up next. This episode is brought to you by Tax Network USA. We pride ourselves on getting you the latest news for your team, whether it's the offseason, the draft, spring training, or yes, the playoffs. It's year-round. You know what else is year-round? Collection season. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals at Tax Experts USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or finally hit that big parlay, like if you had the Cubs sweeping this week and need help correctly filing, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. That's tnusa.com/lockedon. See the link in this episode description below. Today's episode is also brought to you by Stitch Fix. We all love being comfortable. And you know that instant confidence boost you get from the outfit that makes you look really good? That's what I get with Stitch Fix. easily upgrade your wardrobe this year with a professional stylist that helps you find new on-trend favorites that'll work for you. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget preferences. I order boxes when I want and how I want, no subscription required, and they send 5 just for me pieces plus outfit recommendations and pro styling advice. I keep what works and send back the rest. Stitch Fix makes it all so easy. I don't like to shop, and they save me that time and effort. Plus, I get outfits that make me look and feel really good, and that's not easy to do. And if you don't love something, just send it back. Shipping, returns, and exchanges are always free. Style that makes you feel as good as you look. Get started today at stitchfix.com/MLB and get $20 off your first fix. That's stitchfix.com/MLB for $20 off. Stitchfix.com/MLB. Must redeem within 7 days of sign up. We are back here on Locked On Cubs. I could take some chats, by the way, because I'm in a real good mood. So if you have any questions, maybe take a couple questions or comments if you want to light up the chat here. But first, I want to get into injury updates. The only bad news this week for the Chicago Cubs was injuries. Cody Bellinger on Wednesday night got hit by a pitch right on his middle finger. And it looked like a broken finger the second that it happened. And then after the game, he talked about some swelling, and he was diagnosed with a fractured finger on Thursday that led the Cubs to call up Alexander Canario. And, he's on the IL right now. We don't know with Bellinger. Look, this is a tricky one because, first of all, the Cubs need Cody Bellinger because he's a good player. And even though he hasn't been what we had hoped, he's a good player. I compare Cody Bellinger's season right now to where if you're all dressed up and you're ready to spend a lot of money on a nice steak, you take out your significant other for a nice steak meal, you're expecting to spend a lot of money. And what you get in return is a solid chicken sandwich. And you say to yourself, this isn't what I paid for, but it's fine. It's fine. That's Cody Bellinger's season right now. You didn't get what you paid for, but he's still an asset to the team. And also, of course, the trade part of it. And I do think the Cubs are in a situation where they could probably trade Bellinger and it still wouldn't be, in my opinion, labeled like a total sell-off, right? You saw today, like this team, the one cool thing about this team not having a true superstar or a star is that losing one guy, it doesn't make you, miss him that much because the team's kind of reliant on the team and the end product. So I don't think one trade would ruin the Cubs season anyway. But yeah, this is probably the one guy out of anyone you didn't want to see get hurt because it would be a huge victory, I think, for the Cubs to be able to, if they decided to sell or if they decided to trade him, and some desperate team like the Phillies was able to pick up all his salary, that'd be a really big long-term win for the Cubs because it would give them so much flexibility heading into the offseason to get off of that deal. So hopefully, I don't, I'm not a doctor, but I don't think there's any minor like fractured fingers when it comes to baseball. You have to be able to grip a bat and throw a baseball. So, the hope is you get the All-Star break. Maybe he can come back in a couple of weeks. And then at least from a trade perspective, he's back and he looks himself and you could deal him, or the Cubs are in a really good position and then he comes back and helps out on things. There's also updates from Ben Brown and Jordan Wicks. Neither were great. Jordan Wicks is still having pain with the oblique situation, so I don't expect him back anytime soon. And I believe this is from Megan Montemurro over at the Trib. Ben Brown was still having some neck soreness, so he's still just doing long toss. So those two things aren't great news. I was kind of hoping to have one of those guys back before the All-Star break. After the All-Star break, like right out of the break, maybe in the first 3 games, getting those guys back. It doesn't look like that will be the case. Tauchman is going to Arizona during the All-Star break, so hopefully he'll be back short after it. And, the long list of injuries continues, but it doesn't damper what was, probably the best series of the season for the Cubs by far. I'll take a couple questions right now. Let's see. Sam, thoughts on Alexander Canario? Yeah, this is a good question. Canario coming up, guys. I don't want to knock a hitter, but Alexander Canario, the Cubs people that I've read about and even spoke to have compared him to like Patrick Wisdom. This isn't somebody I think that has a super high ceiling. He's a home run guy. He's looking to run into some homers. I don't think with the way Mastrobuoni's playing right now, I don't think they're going to mess around with that. I think you'll see Canario in a lefty situation when you need a home run, kind of like Wisdom. Maybe he gets a spot start here and there. I'm not expecting him to play a ton. I don't view him as one of the Cubs' top prospects or a guy I expect a ton out of, if I'm being genuinely honest. Sam, if the Cubs were to buy, what are you looking to pick up? Ask me that question for Monday. Let's get 3. I can't talk buy yet. I'm not there at all. Let's see what happens in St. Louis. I can't take my mind there right now. 9040. I can't. Let's see. Hendricks pitching means game over. Not necessarily against the Cards. We'll have to see what happens on Friday night. But yeah, guys, awesome win, awesome sweep. Appreciate everybody this week with Matt out of town. Matt will be back for Monday's show. Always appreciate the support, especially when I'm solo. I know I don't do it often. You guys are always so kind in the comments and stuff, knowing I'm working through it. And listen, shout out to this club, 6 of 7, 4 in a row. You never know. Someone just asked real quick who's pitching this series. It's going to be some combination of Hendricks, Wisniewski, we don't know, and Tyone. I don't want people to think I missed that. It's an important question. Let's see what happens this weekend, guys, in Busch. Let's see what happens. 2 out of 4. We're still pretty excited coming back for the second half. It's still watchable because if they split, they're probably going to be about 3.5 out at the break. But 3 out of 4, and you might just have me announcing, a lot of fun stuff on Sunday. Don't forget, if the Cubs find a way to win Friday night, you have my word, game 1 of that double dip, I'll be on for a watch along because we got to keep the train rolling and get excited. What else do we have to do? You know what I mean? Thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs. You give us 20 to 30 minutes, and we'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two along the way. Be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube, smash the like button for the algorithm, and leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcast. I'm Sam Olber, and this was a sweep edition of Locked On Cubs. Take care, everybody. Go Cubs.